we go. Rad for real talk. Hey,
Hey,
it's the warm up.
hey.
Hey, it's the warm up. Yeah. Okay, Rad. Okay, I hear
Okay.
you. All right.
All right.
Let me find out.
Got an ounce of rhythm on my pinky toe.
Hey. All
Pinky
right,
toe.
y'all. It's the warm up. Breathe. You're so silly. Let go. Let's get ready to receive what Radford Real Talk has for you today. Wisdom, healing, prosperity, success, sobriety. Hey. And we ready? You ready, Rad?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's do it.
Go.
All right, y'all. Welcome to Radford
Hello,
Real
everybody.
Talk. We got my boo here today. The king is in the building. You love that thing,
And
don't
we
you?
have my boo, the queen, is in the building. Do one more. Do one more for you.
All right, now. That's what I'm
Sasha.
talking about. Sasha. By the way, that's our baby.
Yes.
We're dog parents, so.
Yes, we are.
All right, y'all. So welcome back to Rad for Real Talk. We just thank you for allowing us to be in your ear one more time. And as you know, I started talking about Can't Judge a Book, part 1. So that was the first one that I aired in talking about what is addiction. Okay. And so I pretty much gave some statistics and some mental health stuff, the medical clinical side of it. And today, what I wanted to do was bring my husband on, and I want you to pretty much just talk to us about your experience. I do have some questions for you to just open up to the world. And y'all, the goal is we go through things to help heal others. And this is a powerful story, man. God is just amazing. And it's just amazing just to see where we are, to see where my husband is. And I'm just thankful, man. I'm just super thankful. And my prayer is that our story will be able to heal other people, you know, and just give people hope. Because a lot of times things are just kept quiet in families. You know, nobody talks about the struggles, the trials, and things like that people experience. And there needs to be more transparency, especially in marriages and things like that. So when people go through things, they don't think they're by themselves, or it hasn't happened before. So that's the goal of this addiction series that we're doing. So, dear, I want to actually start with, tell me, what age did you start using? What age did you try? Whatever it is that you tried to, whatever you started with.
I was 12.
12 years old. Okay.
With marijuana.
Okay. Okay. And what made you try the first time that you tried?
Well, hold on. The first time that I had any substance in my body, I was a kid. You know, a lot of parents might give their child a sip of beer or something like that, not knowingly. That's very, very, very common, I would imagine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there
it.
was So I would, when the beer was down and nobody was looking, I would go grab the beer, or even this parents just joking around here, but not, they didn't overindulge it like, hey, here's a 12-pack, nothing like that.
Right.
So yeah, I was, I don't know, 5, 6, but on my own, venturing out, I was 12.
Okay.
It was marijuana. I mean, a childhood friend. Just the crazy thing about it is neither one of us really knew what we were doing, and we put the marijuana in a loose leaf piece of paper.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I burned my eyebrows off because when you
are you serious?
When you would hit, the paper would light up, but not like a rolling paper, and the thing lit up and singed my eyebrows.
Oh my god!
Yes.
Hey, I never heard that story.
Disaster. Yeah, it was a disaster.
Wow.
I got home. I was like, boy, what the hell happened to your eyebrows? I was like, I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
That was my answer for everything.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Famous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Where were you?
But did you know?
But did you?
Mm.
Definitely didn't know.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so what made you want to try the weed? Like, it was just messing around. You saw it. Somebody, what do you remember at that age?
I think it was just the bond that with that friend. It was, um, he had never, tried to smoke anything or smoke or whatever, and but at that age, I was already around other people, um, that were, selling drugs, using drugs that I could see.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it countless times, and it's just, they say curiosity killed the cat, and
Learn behavior.
learn behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing it in the neighborhood,
Mm-hmm.
or shoot, well, back then it really wasn't on TV. I don't believe.
Not like it is today.
Not like it is
oh my
today.
gosh. Yeah.
Maybe just like movies and stuff like that or whatever. But believe it or not, at 12, I was already a little lost.
Define lost for me.
Just really, I just didn't really, at 12, what do you really have going on?
Mm-hmm.
But I felt myself gravitating towards the wrong side of the track. I could already see it
Mm-hmm.
happening. And then it would, I would do good, pull back, do good, pull back. It's throughout my life, it was a constant ups and downs, and more downs than ups.
Gotcha.
As coming up.
Gotcha. Okay. And tell me, what made you try harder drugs? You remember what age you were when you went a step up? They always say that weed is the gateway drug,
It is.
to
Most definitely is.
the opening it up to what that pleasure pathway hits and what it does for you at that time, especially when the brain hasn't developed. And y'all remember from the last episode that I did where I kind of went into detail about an undeveloped brain and when folks begin to use and what it does. But what did you try and what made you try it? If you can recall.
Again, by that time, I had known a gentleman that was, dealing very, very hard narcotics, drugs or whatever. And by that time, 15, 16, 14, 15, I was kind of like middleman, orchestrating deals.
Mm-hmm.
Because I knew where to get it from, and then I would go to the older guys and just go get it, give it. He would give me whatever, and but I started seeing how they were acting on it. They were always laughing, very energetic, things of that nature. And again, curiosity.
Yeah.
I wonder what that makes you feel like.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going around the corner with a package, the same. I was by myself, and before I gave it to the dude, I experienced it.
What was it?
Cocaine.
Okay.
Powder cocaine.
Okay.
And I remember it was not to glorify anything, because there's nothing glorious about drugs and stuff like that, but it was definitely a different feeling, and it immediately grabbed me, and I just really remember liking that feeling.
Okay, that's that euphoria.
Yeah.
That drugs.
Endorphins.
That the dopamine. That the euphoria, that the drugs, it hits that pleasure pathway.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That pathway leads straight to hell.
Right, for sure. For
Mhm.
sure. Straight to destruction.
Mhm.
Okay.
But for me, it didn't lead like immediately.
Yeah. It
It
slow
was
walks you is what I
yeah,
always
because
say.
like I tried it and then I didn't really mess with it again until years later, which was
Mm-hmm.
kind of odd.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because like I said, first experience, and then but then by that age, I was already getting incarcerated and getting you know taken out of society at a very young age.
Okay.
So that was it.
Gotcha. When you were saying incarcerated, what things were you doing around the time when you were, you began dabbling with drugs?
Oh, uh, everything, uh, robbery,
Mm-hmm.
uh, strong armed robbery,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, just just anything.
Okay.
Um, yeah, just like I said before, just lost. But then that bond you got with, and the guys that I was around, we were we thought we were close.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody at that age really knew what a friendship was even consist of.
Right. Right.
None of us had been through anything really
Mm-hmm.
that we knew of.
Mm-hmm.
And that was so yeah, that was it.
Okay. Okay. So tell me, you continue to use, right? So even I know you mentioned getting incarcerated a few times. You did get incarcerated a few times, did a few bids, correct?
Mm-hmm.
You were a teenager, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what was that experience like? Because that's learned behavior that happens in there as well. The stories that you hear, the
Mm-hmm.
guys that you're around, and you were a teenager. How old were
Yeah, I
you?
was 15, 16.
Okay. And what were your experiences in there? What did you hear? What did you see? What was it that you feel also played a part in you going down the road that you went down?
Well, the that story happened. Um, we knew a guy that wanted to buy some weed,
Mm-hmm.
and my cousin and I got a great idea of rob him from trying to buy the weed.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't have no weed. We just said, we had already determined what we were going to do.
Mm-hmm.
I stole a gun from my dad,
Mm-hmm.
and come to find out, the gun didn't even work.
Mm-hmm.
The gun was and I'm not laughing.
Yeah,
That's
I got you.
That's how stupid I
Just-
was.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how ignorant I was.
Yeah.
And that's how much the gun didn't even work.
Right.
What would have happened if that guy would have had a gun and pulled a gun? I play that in my mind all the time. But yeah. So I think I was 16. I was 16. Yeah, because I was already I had already got out of school.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole nother story. But so yeah, and we were in North Carolina. And so that guy went and told his parents what happened, and they called the police.
Okay.
Said he was trying to buy some weed, and I robbed him, and they charged me with armed robbery.
Gotcha.
Which is a very serious charge, which it should be.
Right.
I had a firearm and pulled it on the guy, and he didn't know it didn't work.
Right.
Neither did I.
Right.
But I can only imagine what was going through his mind when somebody, puts a firearm to your head.
Mm-hmm.
You know what type of dark place you got to be in to do something like that.
For sure.
So, anyways, they locked my cousin and I up. He got accessory to armed robbery. They raided my uncle and my aunt's house at the time. Searched all
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, and then so sitting there for a couple of days, and we finally made bond. But even the short time while out, and they put us in, they didn't put us in like a TDH or anything. They put us in an adult jail and put us in there with adult inmates.
Mm-hmm. What was that like
15,
being a
16,
child? Yeah.
That was scary. But once you get in there, and they just you it's like a chameleon. You adapt
Mm-hmm.
to what you're around. Obviously, 15, 16 with grown men, it's not, it's different. But I've always told people, I went in there with a marijuana education and came out with a cocaine and heroin.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Why are you doing this? Or you could be doing this? And it's like everybody, I think when they get incarcerated, they reconstruct a horrible plan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, and instead of doing cocaine, I'm just going to smoke weed. Or instead of doing it the right way, instead of selling nickel and dime, I'm going to sell weight. And it's
Mm-hmm.
always a criminal minded aspect where, you think you got a great idea and it's just
Scheming.
you're scheming,
Yeah.
plotting, and that's
Yeah.
that criminal.
Mm-hmm.
That's that criminal mind.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Instead of saying, "Hey, I'm a go get a job. I'm gonna work this job for 2 years, and while I'm doing that, I'm gonna go." This that rarely happens in prison, from what I've seen.
Right.
And then again, in prison, it's whatever you put yourself around.
For sure.
There are people in there that do go in there and say that.
Mm-hmm.
I just
It wasn't the time for you yet.
no,
That
no,
time hadn't come. I got you. You weren't tired yet.
no.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have. They call it. I had another bid in me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't through running yet.
How many times, around how many times would you say that you got incarcerated?
Mm.
Like a range?
No less than 15.
Okay. And how long total, how many years would you say total that you did, including the last bid that you did, the most recent one before we got together?
10 years.
Okay. Okay. Do you feel like you received
the longest stretch I did, 5.5, 6 years. That was a continuous stretch.
Okay.
Not coming home.
But total was
it's very, very close to 10 because I did, a year here, a year there, a year there, 2 years here, and it was very, like, do a year, come home for 30 days, go back for another 2 years, come home for 10 days, do 6 years. So in 10 years, I might have spent a year or two on the street, maybe.
I remember, because we were always friends, and BJ and I, we stayed in contact with each other, on the phone and things like that. When I was away in school, and when I came back later on, it was a long period of time where we didn't talk, and that was when you were incarcerated. But I'll never forget one of the times I was home. I can't remember how old I was, but I remember your mom was telling me that she was coming to see you, and at the jail. And
The jail you work at.
Isn't that crazy?
Isn't
that wild? Yes. And that's funny how things change, right? Or something. And I'm like, okay, I really wasn't feeling it, but I wanted to see you, because I hadn't seen you in a while. So I'll never forget that moment, man. Like, I can't even remember how old I was, but we were young.
You were 18.
Well, something like that. Yeah. And it was just.
Yeah, because I was like 22.
It was a very uncomfortable feeling, man. It was just, I can't even explain.
You don't say.
I can imagine how I felt for you. But like, for being on the other side, I remember we talked, and that's when they had the phone. There wasn't no virtual and all that then. And before I left, I remember just not being able to touch you. And I remember you put your hand on the glass, and I put my hand on the glass.
Like some movie stuff.
And I said never again. I'll never forget. I told your mom I can't do that. That's I can't live that life. That's just that was tough, man. That was definitely tough to see that. And we weren't even together then. We were just friends. Like, we'd always been. And it just that hit different when you experienced that.
You know what's crazy? You know what I remember about that visit?
What's that?
The type of shoes I had on.
Is that right?
Because that is an inmate's mentality.
And
like,
traumatic too.
And it's what?
Well, for maybe because I was there, you think?
Well, for
maybe?
you it was traumatic.
Yeah.
For me it was normal.
Yeah, true.
But I remember, and I had on it was a pair of yellow Jordan 5s.
Wow.
And people usually don't wear tennis shoes in jail, but that's the image I wanted to put off to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, look at me. I got on a pair of Jordans and
with a damn jumpsuit on.
With a jumpsuit on.
Right.
But we actually think like that. Like when you're in prison and jail, and oh, I'm gonna iron my shirt and put these creases in it. You get so state struck
Yeah.
and so far gone from reality.
Yeah.
Like, who the hell cares if you got everybody's got a pair of Jordans on out here, or everybody's got a crease in their shirt, and I can tell you, that tells you how long ago it was about creases, and
Yeah, for sure.
and it's just that's the mentality that we get. Your family don't care what you got,
That's the dressed up garbage can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
absolutely.
technically not even dressed up because you got a damn jumpsuit on, but just, you know what I'm saying, to try to make it seem like you present a certain way on the outside when it's just poison on the inside. It's jacked
absolutely.
up on the inside. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay. So do you feel like you received adequate help while you were incarcerated, whether it was in prison, in jail,
Hell no.
like to work on your sobriety and to prepare for reentry? What you think about that?
Not even close.
Really?
There's no, I don't know what it's like now,
Well, I'm here.
but I
now.
know. Oh, that's very true.
They got trying to get more programs.
Hit the
now.
button. Hit the button.
Okay.
But yeah. So when I was at Nottoway, Correctional Center, Farmville, Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
I had did all that time. In my last 30 days, they put you into a reentry program.
Wow.
Your last
30 days.
But now listen to this. It's once a week for 3 hours.
Once a week.
So you mean to tell me, once a week or something like for 2 hours, you mean to tell me in 10 hours you're going to correct 10 years of incarceration?
Right.
And it was a joke. You went in there and I remember one was like, to spell your name on the application. It was just
wow.
like, what?
Not even addressing the root cause. Yeah.
I mean, we were just, it was a joke.
So no drug help, no nothing, none of that.
Not one time did I ever hear anybody ask me about alcohol, or
Wow.
drugs,
Wow.
or a gun, or anything.
You're nothing.
Nothing about my charges at all. Nothing.
It was like checking a box.
Yeah. Hey, open that cell, throw him in there, and then shut it. And let him, mass incarceration does not correct behavior.
For sure.
Like I said, I don't know how it is now, but when I was there, it's not. That's not it.
Yeah.
It's not the recidivism rate. It was like, what was it? It was like, I think it was 3 out of 4 return in the first year or something like that. And we can dive down a super dark rabbit hole with that.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's hard. It's very, very hard. When you come home, especially depending on the mentality that you've got. If your mentality is to just strictly get money, and you always hear people say that, I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna get this bag, or I'm gonna get some money.
Yeah.
That's not the right bag, and the right money is the key.
For sure.
And a lot of the education that we've acquired over prior to our incarceration, plays a big role.
Absolutely.
So the construction site is usually the biggest job opportunity that one of us might have.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
You got to think about it. You coming fresh out of prison to a construction site, the life.
Tell what's on it.
Yeah, there's nothing. I mean, it's all type of drugs. The atmosphere is usually a good old boy in the atmosphere. People don't know how to talk, and especially if you did, however much time you did and where you did it at, there's certain jokes and games that we don't interact with, and on a construction site, everything's a joke.
Yeah.
I mean, I see guys, joke all around, and I've seen it go bad.
I remember it was, that it was difficult when you did come home for you to, well, let's take it back. Even before we even get to the part of the construction site, right? Did you realize that you had a problem coming out? You know, just because a person used drugs, see, people get this misconception of what a person having a substance use disorder is. When you were coming out, I mean, tell me, did you feel that you had a problem with drugs and alcohol when you were coming out of jail, when you got released? That last big bid you did you feel like you had a problem? Did you still plan to use drugs and alcohol?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't care.
Mm-hmm.
There was no care. There was absolutely no cares.
Gotcha.
Because I felt like I didn't have nothing to really care enough to whether or not what I did when I got out, I tried to catch up with old times as fast as I could.
Yep.
You know, I tried to cram, going out, drinking. You know, I think I had got high like maybe 2-3 weeks after I had got out.
Mm-hmm.
About 3 weeks. Yeah, about 2, 3 weeks. It wasn't long. I can tell you that.
And we were already so we were already together then. And see, I didn't know. That goes back. I didn't know. I knew that you had I knew you had an alcohol problem, like, or you just doing dumb stuff and driving, because I remember the thing in your car and all that. One of the times I came home from college and you came and see me for my birthday. Mm-hmm. But I didn't know at the time that you were alcoholic. In my mind, I'm thinking you just did something stupid, driving and drinking, right?
Well, you got to think about the relationship you and I had.
Yeah.
Who your uncle was.
So yeah.
I always never brung any type of drug around you.
For sure.
Or anything like, or brung, when we went out, it was always just you and I.
Yeah.
I would,
I wouldn't know.
Turn the phone off and we would go somewhere where nobody knew us.
Yeah, for sure. For
stuff
sure.
like that.
And I think you knew my expectation.
Oh yeah, you were definitely. Yeah, I knew that, but I knew it was the respect I had for you about who you were as a young woman, went real far.
Yeah, for sure.
And I paused on that when I said respect, because you and I had went down a very, very dark road as well. And, it was, that drug takes over all respect you have for anybody, yourself, anybody. It's not, you can say you respect somebody, but you really don't.
Yeah.
Because that drug will drive you to do.
You don't even respect yourself.
Some wild, and if you don't respect yourself or love yourself, and I never loved nobody until you, and I had to be taught what love was.
Right.
You had to teach me and show me, because I had no clue.
Yeah.
Love to me was, going out to dinner and having a couple of drinks and whatever, and doing the adult thing, and it would, I had no concept,
right,
of what love was. Now I've seen it through my mom and dad, but with me, it just wasn't.
I thought I knew, but I didn't tell you. You know what I mean? Yeah. Where we went through what we went through, and I didn't, but I understood. It made more sense after. I always say life makes sense backwards after. And reflecting back that this is what it is, this is what it feels like. It is not the sunshine and rainbows. Anybody can have that.
You don't think it was?
Hell no.
Want sunshine and rainbows?
No, I don't want no damn sunshine.
What about just sunshine?
Hell no, it was raining, cloudy some days, boy.
Tropical. What was it? What do they call them? What do they call them?
The hurricane, the tornadoes.
Stage 4 or
no, it's what is it? Category 4.
Category 4. I said stage 4. It was that bad too.
It was that bad too. And in talking about that, I didn't even, like I said, I didn't know. When you came home, we would, hang out, go to eat, all that stuff, and because I was still drinking too at the time, and we would just kick it. And at the moment, I didn't see anything different at that time at first.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have. You've never been around that.
Correct.
You've never seen somebody.
Correct.
It being in front of you.
Right.
So you wouldn't know what to look for. The same reason when I came home, you didn't know.
Yeah,
You didn't know
absolutely.
what to look. Somebody, and I would hide it very well until it started getting out of control.
And I started, so I remember starting to
that
pay
night.
attention, but we're gonna get to that night too when I found out.
Mhm.
But before that night, we would go out to eat, and we like to go to this Mexican restaurant. And so Friday, sometime on Fridays, that's where we would go. You would want to go there all the time, right? So I'm like, okay. But I began to pay attention to, you wanted to go there to drink. It was more I felt about the drinking. And it's crazy. Trauma, there's a book called The Body Keeps Score. And it's so true because trauma, you can remember like what you had on, the scent, the smell, the atmosphere, when it was something that was traumatic for you. I cannot stand the smell of a Mexican restaurant now, still to this day, because that's where we would often go, you know what I mean? And then you would drink, I felt like too much. And it was just like, that was the focus. You were there, but you weren't there. And I just didn't like it. But, just, I don't know. I just started watching things then silently.
It was a
kinda.
Mexican restaurant?
Yes, absolutely.
You know what's crazy? I don't remember that.
Oh, I do.
A Mexican restaurant?
Yes, sir. That was a spot where you always want to go
Which
to.
one?
In Chesapeake, the one right there off of Centerville. I forgot the name of it, but it was in that shopping center where it's Kroger at now. But anyway, like, so, I still can't stand the smell of the scent. I don't even care if I ever go into another, although I like Mexican food, but I don't like the scent of going into one now, because the negative stuff, the negative memories come back. And so I began to watch stuff. And then I knew when I started talking to you and saying things about the drinking, I remember like, okay, there's a lot of, okay, we would have something, we would get something to drink, or on a Friday or Saturday, that's, you always want to get that. I'm like, okay, cool. You get what you want. I'm like, okay, cool. So, but it was like the focus became that. You know what I mean? Like you were there, but you weren't there.
Of course.
Felt, right, yeah, and but this is like from the other side. You know what I mean? The people that are connected to you, the closest to you, are going to see things that you may not see. And then when it gets pointed out, that's when a lot of times with people who struggle with addiction, the defensiveness kicks in. And you know what I mean? That's the story. That's how it goes. Yeah. So then I remember it was a Grey Goose. We had some Grey Goose in the house, and we had just got that bottle. And I remember, you weren't home at the time. Yeah.
I remember this.
And I went to get some, and I'm like, what the hell? It was water. Like he had put water in the Grey Goose bottle. I'm like, what in the, so like it's stuff like that, like signs like that, where I started like, okay, something is up here, I want to say not long after that is when we stopped the drink. Well, in the house. Right, I think it was about this. It's been so many years now. I can't remember. But that's when I'm like, no alcohol in the house, right?
Yeah, but that's what alcoholics do. So we go from drinking hard liquor. Okay, well, I'm just going to drink beer.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
then just the holidays. Yeah, we did.
We went through that. Drink wine.
Or then we're gonna just do the holidays.
Yeah,
and then we're just gonna do, and it just always turns into destruction. It's frustrating. It's uncomfortable. And then when we get into these little, these disagreements, some little, some big, and it was just like, ugh. It's confusing from the other side. But it got to a point where I'm like, okay, there's going to be no alcohol in the house. This is a problem here. And this is before I even got in depth in. At this time, I wasn't even thinking about being a substance abuse counselor. I'm still just going the counseling route, right? In my studies for that.
I did all this on purpose to lead you.
Boy, please.
Okay. That's a plan,
yeah,
right there.
Right. Yeah. Right. But I do remember that, where I'm like, there's going to be no alcohol in this house. So the first time, as far as the drug part that I remember, when I realized that he was using, was, I'll never forget this. We had been to the Finchers reunion. And that's why it's like, I love to go because it's family. We see everybody, but things like that, you just leave an imprint. Although our life is, thank you God, great now, but just that memory, it was just straight traumatic, man. And we had came home from the Finchers reunion, and matter of fact, my dad was staying with us at the apartment, and I went out in the bathroom. I came out the bathroom, and then you was in the bedroom, and I went. And I looked, and I remember I saw like the right white residue near your nose, and it was like I can't even explain. I was so angry. It was like I could taste blood. Like I never knew that I could get that angry. Um, because I felt like it was just our whole life and everything that we were trying to work for. So I thought was a threat, was being threatened. Because I know the road that drugs can take you on. And I hit you, didn't I hit you?
Oh yes.
Oh yeah, I hit you.
Absolutely.
Like I just like snapped. I just snapped in that moment. I just went off. And I'll never forget my dad, he was in the other room or something like that, and he had took BJ outside and was talking. Well, he was trying to calm me down, and then just took BJ outside, and they were talking and stuff. And that's the thing I do appreciate about Pop is, he can separate his emotion from what's really going on to be there, for whomever it is. And that was a big moment right there. And yeah, I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that. So what, in the midst of me going off and it was just, there's no words to express how I felt. How did you feel?
Oh, I was high. I had no feelings.
Yeah.
But I was surprised when you hit me.
Yeah, I was surprised.
like, wow.
I was surprised that I did that. Like
I couldn't. I was like, oh, I'm going back to prison.
Shut up.
But yeah, it's
yeah. You didn't do anything. You just was just that's the drug. You just
first of
you
all,
were denying actually. Like I know I wasn't. No, and I'm like I know what the fuck I saw. Like I was just bucking. Like and you just kept denying. And then so yeah, until Dad kind of just came and separated us. And
well, yeah, it was. It was definitely you had messed my high up. What I thought I was enjoying, and we were getting ready to go back out to another bar, and I was like, I went in the room and it was like, well, in my mind, I'm gonna go ahead and get right real quick, and then we'll go. And I heard the shower water running. I know because she was in the shower, and I turned around, and there you stood. I was like, oh man, this is not getting ready to be a good night.
Yeah.
So your dad, and when you say you hit me, it was I think you smacked me on the chest or something like that. Maybe pushed me. It wasn't nothing major at all.
Yeah.
But I remember your dad took me outside, and this was a pivotal moment in my life. This moment right here. Obviously, I had realized how much you cared about me when how mad you got. Most women were like, they would probably laughed it off or went right back out drinking. Or some women, you I'd be getting high with. And I seen how mad and upset you got. And I was just like, oh man, she does care. And I've never had witnessed that before from a relationship. And so anyways, your dad and I went outside. Well, your dad took me outside. We went for a walk. And he was like, what, because your dad didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
And he's like, he asked me what was going on. And I said, well, she accused me of getting high. And he said, well, were you? I said, yeah. And I'll never forget this, man. He grabbed my hands, both of my hands. And you got to remember, your dad, 6'3", 6'4", 270. He's a big man, and I'm not a little guy. And you got two grown men out there holding hands. And I remember he said, let's pray. I was so lost, I was just lost. And he started praying. Imagine now, I'm still high.
Right,
so,
right.
While he's got his eyes closed, I'm probably peeking over his shoulder, seeing if the police are coming or something. It's just, you always think police are coming or whatever. And I felt a calmness come over me. And like the high wore off. And it wasn't because it was bad drugs or anything like that.
Yeah.
And when like when he started praying, I was just like, I was expecting him to cuss me out.
Yeah.
Like, you stupid, you know,
Mm-hmm.
Bob, I got my daughter in here, and
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't like that. Like he wanted to pray.
Yeah.
And I remember even after we prayed, I was just like, wow. And I remember not getting high again for a while.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like for a few months,
Wow.
you know?
Yeah. And that's one thing, man. I'm thankful because I come from a praying family, man.
Mhm.
And it's so much power in that,
There's definitely a lot
you know?
of power in prayer.
Yeah, for sure. It is.
You know,
It is.
it really is.
And you know, even going back to going back to our regular lives and things like that. I never forget, I still felt on edge, like, you know, hold on now, all this stuff. And in my head, I'm like, all the shit that I'm working for, this can just tear it apart. This can just take it away. This can destroy everything that I've been working for before this man came back into my life. So that was the threat part, but you know, the heart, man, when you not only love somebody, but when you're in love with somebody, it's not that easy. And that's why I tell people, man, you can't say what you would and what you wouldn't do. You can't make a judgment, man, if you haven't strapped them shoes on and laced them up and took a walk in them. And but then the promises of, you know, I'm be clean and all this stuff, and you know, so I'm thinking all was well, and there will be times where that's when the construction site you'll be working, and then I wouldn't know where you are, and you at the bar, and I'll find you. It was just straight chaos, man, just straight chaos. And I think the pivotal part where I really began to know, you know, things were wrong, because I knew you love me. But you know, you couldn't really love me in the way I needed to be because of the addiction, the drugs and alcohol, you know. Um, but I do remember the big point was when I had to have my surgery. And that's the hysterectomy thing. We talked about, you know, kind of what we both were going through silently at that time. During one of the last shows, The Wombless Woman. Remember, we were talking about that in both perspectives of it. And I had to go to you were going to be there to take me to go get, what was it? Like my nightgown and all the other stuff that I needed, whatever, to prepare for the surgery. So I got off of work, came home, and I'm like, okay. I was calling, no answer. Or he would send me to voicemail, and that would just take me on the anger. I would just be in such a rage and frustrated. And I'm like, hold on now. I know this is not happening, and this is really about to go down. Why I got this surgery tomorrow. So finally, I don't know what time it was. It was right before I had to go to the hospital. You came, and you know, just I already knew what time it was. Anyway, we just really didn't have anything to say to each other, of course. And we got there, got situated or whatever for the surgery. And, you know, once again, you were there, but you weren't there. But just like what we talked about with the wombless woman, you were going through your own stuff. You know, the tailspin was already happening. You know, it wasn't you. It was the addicted BJ that was there. Because you would hurt somebody over me. Just straight up. Like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, and that's the truth. I've never had anybody love me the way that you have as far as a man. You know what I mean? Like, so I knew that was that side where I'm like, this thing is bigger than what it really is.
Well, yeah, because the last podcast we talked about that, and it was, obviously you were the one going through the surgery, so it was all eyes on you. You know, and which you're the woman, it should be like that. But at the same time, like, I'm dying inside. Like, yeah, we're not gonna be able to have it. You know, my biological father was, you know, he went through his own demons and stuff like that, and
which were
everything. You name it. You know, crime, drugs, alcohol, fighting. You know, everything.
Yeah.
You know, and so a part of me was like, you know what, he didn't raise me right, so I'm gonna. And then, then this, you know, this hits. You know, so at that time, I'm questioning God. Like, what? Like
Yeah.
you were the closest thing to perfection that I've ever seen in a woman. I was like, why
Thank
would
you,
you know,
baby.
like why would you do this? Like, you know, I was
Mhm.
angry at
Mhm.
God. Like there was a point in my time where I was like, oh yeah, whatever. Like I don't even believe in you. Like why
Mhm.
would you do this?
Mhm.
And you can really still hear the frustration in my voice as I talk now about that time.
Mhm.
And it just, and in my mind, you know, you were going to surgery and you were going to be under surgery for a while. And I was just like, well, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to go ahead and self medicate for a little so I can get out of
Mhm.
my skin,
Yeah. Yep.
you
Yep.
know?
An escape.
And I didn't want to be
Temporary.
around nobody,
Yeah.
you know? And then when I came back to the hospital, it was like it was like the Rolling Stones in your room.
Yeah.
There was so many people there
He said the
because you
Rolling
come from a very very tight family. And I was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh yeah, I definitely don't want to be in here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it was it's I had a lot of demons,
There's a lot
man.
going
A lot of
on.
a lot of trauma going on. A lot of and it was untreated trauma, which
Yes. Yes.
if
Yes.
I'm sure
Yes.
we'll be getting ready to get to that in a second. But
Mhm.
my pivot. It didn't come from a rehab. It didn't come from AA and then well, it was small things. My program is very custom to what I believe in.
And we'll get into
What
that.
okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the rehab, because you went a couple
Mm-hmm.
times.
A couple,
Yeah, a few times you went.
yes,
Yeah.
quite a few times.
And I think the like they say, that straw that broke the camel's back right before my surgery. I'll never forget that day. The police came to the apartment. And that's when they said that, they asked for next of kin for you, that your biological father had been found deceased in a hotel room.
You overdose.
Yep, yeah, overdose. And it was like he was just kept going. You know what I mean? Like, just I don't even think you knew how to feel in that moment.
Oh yes, I remember this. I remember this day. It was April 3rd, 2017, because he passed away April
It was the
2nd.
third. Oh, okay.
Yeah, well,
Oh.
remember he passed away on the 2nd.
I don't
They
even know
came
that
on the
date.
3rd.
Oh, okay.
I remember. I
Uh
remember.
huh. Okay.
We because you and I had just did a job, and I think we just ate or something, and the police knocked on the door.
Mm-hmm.
First, I had to make sure they weren't there for me when they opened the door.
Stupid.
I said, "Who you here for?" Anyways,
Woo, they weren't.
yeah, but so when they asked for next of kin, I had already knew so. And I remember the one of the police officers was a young black guy. His name was BJ.
Okay. Yep.
You remember
okay.
that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget this. I will never forget this. When they told me, I sat there for a second and I handed him a business card.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so awkward. It was the first time that young police officer had to do something like this. Obviously, my first time hearing it.
Yeah.
And I remember it was almost like, I gave him a card, said, if you ever need an electrician, man, blah, blah, here you go. But that was my way of shielding,
Mm-hmm.
of pushing y'all back,
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And I remember when I walked him through the door, we were joking, and he walked out, all right, man, have a good day, and shut the door.
Yeah.
That's when I sat down on the couch, and I was just like,
In a whole nother world. Yeah. Yeah. Trying to process it. Didn't know how to process it.
yeah, I was so confused. Like, I didn't know whether to be mad or hurt or angry or, do I want to find this person that did this to him?
Mm-hmm.
But the person that did it to him was himself.
Yeah.
So who would I be looking for?
Right. Exactly. That's deep.
I'm going to go out there and look for some drug dealer?
Yeah. That's deep. That's deep. And that was that April. And my surgery was July.
Mm-hmm.
But that was that straw that broke the camel's back. But I do remember, even after that time, after the surgery, I came home and all that stuff. We got you into rehab. I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember that. And, in that moment, it was just so much going on. It was just like what's so crazy? Trauma will make you forget stuff. And there's a long period of time that I don't even remember. I do remember I went into a depression when I had the surgery because I couldn't work. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't work, couldn't do nothing but stay home. So I'm dealing with this, trying to process what's going on with my life. My marriage, well, were we married yet? Yeah, we were married. Yeah, I had to think about it. But yeah, so trying to, just so much to process. And I was just overwhelmed. I was just depressed. Just, I remember I even just took called the school that I was in, reached out to them, and was just like, look, I need a break. I took like I forgot what you call it, like a leave of absence thing from school. I just wasn't in the place, and just it was just too much. But I do remember that, that time as well. But I think that was like a big part in that for sure. For sure. So this is part 2. We're gonna, roll into part 3, if that's okay with you, to Can't Judge a Book. That sounds like a plan. So y'all, we're gonna break here for a minute, get you something to eat, get you a couple ginger ale, some protein shakes, whatever you need, and come back, because we're gonna go and roll into part 3 of Can't Judge a Book, where we're gonna finish the story, and we're gonna ask BJ about, how did he, the victor instead of victim. How did you become the victor, and all the good stuff? What was that?
Gladiator.
Oh yeah.
Not entertained. Oh man, that was dirty. That was dirty.
All right, so y'all take a break and
Y'all
come
know
back
it.
and see us here in just a few. All right. And we gotta do our outro, man. We gotta.
Oh yeah,
we
that's right.
got to hold on. You know how we gotta jam out. You know how we do, right?
Yep.
Hey.
That sounds good.
Don't it though? You can vibe with that. Hey.
As the kids say, it's a good vibe.
Good vibe. All right, y'all. See you shortly.